Women spend years trying to figure out what men are thinking. And today we just asked them. I have a group of real husbands here, and not just any husbands. These are men whose wives have practiced the 6 intimacy skills so deeply that they became relationship coaches themselves. So these guys have had a front row seat to what it actually looks like from the husband's side when his wife practices the 6 intimacy skills. They're here to answer your burning questions, real questions submitted by real women about sex, about money, about drinking. Nothing is off limits. And here's the fun part. They haven't seen the questions, and neither have I. No prep, no filter, nothing off limits. We're just going to pull them out and see what happens. A weekend away, a weekend to laugh, a weekend for self-care and discovery. Women come for the girls' weekend and they leave stunned by what happened to their marriage. I'm hosting Adored Wife Weekend in Anaheim, California this October 9th through the 11th. If you've been running on empty, doing everything for everybody else, this is 3 days that are entirely unapologetically yours. Hundreds of women who get it, and an 80s dance party and a live man panel that will rewrite everything you thought you knew about men. Previous events sold out. Save $250 with early bird pricing through June 12th. AdoredWifeWeekend.com. I'll save you a seat. Gentlemen, welcome to the man panel.
This is great.
Laura,
Thank you
hi.
for how you've impacted our wives, Laura, and made them, they're already lovable, but they're even more lovable with your influence. So,
well, thanks, Tim. And I'll use that to introduce you. You're Tim. You're married to Sandy. And
that's my claim to fame.
Yeah. Thanks for being part of the man panel. I also have Len here. Hi, Len. Len's married to Catherine.
Laura, hi. Thank you.
And Bert is here. Bert's married to Julie. Bert, thanks for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. It's great.
All right. We're going to just dive right into these mysterious questions that are folded up in this basket submitted by real women. Here is, does your wife's need for a lot of self-care ever make you feel resentful, or is it always magnetic to you?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Len, go ahead, Len.
Well, I mean, my short answer is yes. I think that when Catherine does self-care, it's so good for her. It improves her mood. It relaxes her. It resets her. And I think she comes back from that self-care, already lovable, but even more lovable. So that's sort of a short, quick answer. I think the self-care is enormously valuable, and the opposite. If she doesn't do it, then our relationship can become very rocky. So I'm very enthusiastic about the self-care, and I think more is better. I haven't seen a limit yet in terms of self-care.
I think it is one of the most unselfish gifts the wife can give the marriage and give the husband. It's a gift that is like oil to the gears. It's creates a grace and smoothness and an ability to overlook issues that could turn into tiffs and different negative energy. And it's just like that is the most impacting thing that I saw with Sandy going through the program, the thing she fought the most. And the coach that worked with her would not let off on it. She was merciless. I mean, it was just no mercy, and she just would not move on until Sandy submitted to the self-care. And once she did, it was like the transformation had room to breathe. It's like she gave room for the miracles to happen. And it's that dramatic.
Wow. Love it.
Yeah, so I'll come from the woman's perspective a little bit on this. I think it's the most difficult thing for women to overcome, right? Because maybe in most traditional relationships, they're seen as nurturers, and they feel like they have these certain obligations, but and I think this is part of the man's responsibility in these 6 skills is, to support that effort. And you do see amazing results in it. And um, I I think for all three of us, we can definitely see it's like a gas meter when it's at full or when it's at empty. And especially if you're married with kids and there's so many obligations, it's so important for self-care, and I couldn't support it more. I see it. I see when the tank's on empty, and sometimes I've just gotta, say, babe, go do your thing. Like we've all right. I think maybe we've all been there and seen that. Is just like, babe, go do your thing. She likes to watch movies. I don't like movies at all. So that's fine. Just go do your thing. Like get your care in and um come back revived, you come back energized, and you come back ready to give, right? Like ready to give. And that's what we want. And so yeah, I think what those guys have said is absolutely true.
I love it. So yeah, my takeaway is most unselfish thing you can do is some self-care. So fantastic. Exciting. Okay. So here's the next. My husband is not active and complains of weight. How do I address this without hurting him?
He has a
Ready?
weight problem.
That's
He's
what she
overweight.
says.
Okay.
He complains about his weight. How do I address this without hurting him?
I feel really strongly about this, and so I have been coached by my wife, and I've encouraged her to do it too. Put some velvet on the brick. But if she begins to hint or whatever, it's just disaster. It's like she can't control somebody else. She may inspire the way by her own eating or her own, looking slim and trim. But, it's like if if you're doing a lot better in this area, the other guy is already on, guys are usually on themselves already. They're already condemning themselves. They're already spanking themselves. And so, they feel like the love is conditional, and it's like, well, you'll be a lot more likable when you get in shape. And, as much as you want them to change and introduce them to all the in-shape friends that you guys have, all that kind of stuff is just even subtle stuff is not, asking him what his vision is and his dream is and go from there. But to try to push something on, to try to push an agenda on to the other person, the other couple, it's just not good.
Which brings up a question for me, for both of you then, is it, if she comments on your weight, does it make you want to gain more weight or not lose weight?
Well, there's a resistance, there's like, let me own my life. That's how, now some guys are so beat up and they, it's like they don't even have resistance there. And that's probably even worse, because you want them to fight back a little bit, but, so they've got to will, and they've got to, they got to own their life.
Well, my experience is that my weight is like a barometer of our relationship. If our relationship is
really
going
good.
poorly, badly, I gain weight. Sometimes a lot of weight. If our relationship is going well, I lose weight and start to look and feel better. So I think there are some powerful forces at work that I don't always understand, but certainly when we're doing well as a couple, I'm in much better shape.
Wow. That's a whammy of an answer. I love that answer.
Yeah, that's great.
All right, we're just going to keep going then. This is really. Oh, okay. It looks like I took this question out of the basket, but let's see. All right, so I guess I have to read it. I guess I'm obligated. Do you ever feel like you're a project for your wife, a problem to fix?
Laura.
Yeah, like when she tells me to lose weight. No. Yeah, I mean, that's, that was really a lot of the challenges that we had. And, it's like one guy talked about, how can you take the mote out of your neighbor's eye when you have a beam coming out of your own? You're smacking everybody in the head with your beam. And so, whenever, a human being is being like being projected on, like you're my project, then it's like it's like they're an object, and they stop being a person, and that respect is just it goes so deep, and even subconsciously, I think there's resistance that even the guy may not even understand. Why am I upset, or why am I short with my wife? How would she feel if her husband made a project out of her
Right.
and
Sure.
she
Yeah.
was his project? It's like, okay,
Yeah.
see if
Absolutely.
see how it fits.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of think that your husband is not your project. And I particularly think about my approach to parenting our children. And I think at times Catherine has been unhappy with the way I've parented. And so my parenting at times has been a bit of a project. But I've been, for better or worse, very resistant to direct instruction. And I think that just having a bit more space to think about things has allowed me to see Catherine's approach much more clearly. And then again, with a bit more free air, I've been able to perhaps move closer to what she wants, but I've done it through my own volition rather than being told what to do. But I know when I'm a project, and I don't like being a project, and I try to be a bad project.
Now here's something that may be interesting here. It's kind of like when you said raising kids. I'm thinking this, Lynn. Okay, so kids are what we need to be introduced to the things we need to work on. and so when this need to make somebody a project is usually indicating trigger points within that person. Why do I need that person to be this? And why do they irritate me so much when they do this? And if I look at it as a game to say, okay, life is a mirror, and somebody that I want to make into a project is a mirror. What am I supposed to be seeing that I'm not seeing in that mirror that I can work on myself? And usually there's plenty of material there that the need to make somebody a project, there's plenty of material for that person that wants to do that to somebody to work on. So just a different way of turning that around, possibly.
These are great answers. I'm loving it. I love that especially hearing when you're her project, you're her project, and you decide to be a bad project.
I love that.
I do too. What are you thinking or feeling when your wife turns you down for physical intimacy? Sex question, guys.
Sex question. All right, who's going first?
Wives turn men down.
Yeah, has that ever happened to you guys, Bert and Lynn? I mean, I don't know what she's talking about.
I would just say that I think generally men's, buckets are filled mostly with respect and sex, right? Like that is generally how that happens, with men. And it seems simple, but it's easily forgotten, right? Like it's easily forgotten. And so what happens when life gets in the way and you don't have sex for a week or two or whatever? You're forgetting the needs of your partner. There is an understanding to a point, but the non-sexual excuses, I think, get wearing, and they're easy. It's taking care of your husband in a way that is meaningful.
Yeah, it's really good, Bert. I mean, the way I look at it is it's also it's also a gift to the marriage. And guys, at least myself, I want to make sure it's not just a one-way thing. Early in our marriage, I think I was mostly hormone and didn't do it well. But as we get older, I mean, I want her to be, it's an experience for her too. And so for her to say no to it it's devastating. If I can be, at the risk of being melodramatic here, and for a guy may not get vocal about that or upset. A worse thing can happen, and that is they go quiet. And when a guy goes quiet, it's harder to fish him back out at times. It gets to a point where he loses the desire for that. I think it's super healthy if your husband wants to do it and has a drive towards that. There's a lot of reasons why that's really, really good. And for you to nurture that, of course, that seems self-serving for me. But it's definitely, I call it the reset. Things get tense and, we get onto each other on little things, become big things. And gosh, we have this PI moment, or hopefully longer moment. And it's a reset. It's like, wow, this is okay. This is what I'm all, this is what this marriage is all about. This is the woman I love. Wow, that's good. And it's just a great reset. So to say no to it, it can be devastating. You think, well, I don't feel devastated. Well, it's a little bitty thing that adds on to a little bitty thing that it gets to where guys will grow silent or disconnected. And that disconnected is just, I think women are already struggling with that already, with a disconnection with their husband. So anyway, that's my take on it.
Yeah. Great. And Len has never been turned down.
Oh, look, I think what you've both said is so articulate. I think that, it's a moment of connection. It's an act of giving and receiving. And I think you're right. If that opportunity for connection is not accepted or nurtured, then people do grow apart. And yes, it's, that indeed might be the moment that starts a chain of disconnection. And then it can be very difficult to turn things around from that point.
Great answers, you guys. It's so illuminating to hear the word devastating, especially too. Really, really great answers. Thank you for this level of authenticity that I'm getting right now. So the next question is, what is the best way to answer the question, what's wrong? What do you want to know as a husband when you're asking what's wrong?
I was told early in our relationship not to ask that question because it couldn't possibly be answered in any reasonable amount of time.
I love it.
And so alternative phrases were, how are you, or how was your day? But what's wrong was kind of not to be asked.
Well, it does set it in the negative, and I have asked that question. I don't think it's a successful move on my part when I do. If I would ask the question, is there something we can talk about now? Or is there something that has been unspoken between us that we need to talk through? And that works better. So I'm not sure how
You've moved beyond what's wrong. You've got better
Yeah.
questions.
Well, this is a controversial one for me, right? Like, and I think I've answered this in a couple of man panels, but I would say that generally, if a man is asking you that question, right? Your husband, your spouse, your whatever is asking that question, they are sensing something in you, right? A fire, a negativity of some sort. We're very simple animals, right? So we sense this, like, quiver in the force, and we're like, hey, what's going on? I would say it's not uncommon for people to get wrapped up in, you left toothpaste on the counter, or you didn't put your breakfast dish away, right? Like, are you going to blow up your intimacy for a simple thing? And so, you know, how can a woman handle that in a situation when a man is asking that question? I'm not saying the question is the right question, but we do ask wrong questions all the time. That's a man thing. But how does that woman handle it? Well, so many times we are in the small parts of life, right? Very little time do we get up in the helicopter and look at life in a way that is like, what is my general goal, right? If I'm worried about, what my daughter did and whatever, right? Like whatever this thing is, it's probably small. It may not be,
Yeah.
but it's probably small. And, ultimately, you just have to get up in the helicopter and say, I really just want a happy life with my spouse. And these micro decisions are not super important. I mean, there's usually, obviously there's examples that are extreme on all ends, but there's usually examples where the husband is giving, or the wife is giving, or the family is together, or you have family dinners, or whatever. There's all these examples of positivity. And if you get wrapped up and you get churned into this one negative, it's just damaging.
Yeah. All right. Next question is, did or do you feel like you were being manipulated when your wife began practicing the skills? How did you cope with that? Did you feel like you were being manipulated?
Well, I loved it from the very beginning, and
I loved it too.
and I remember this one moment. I think I was in my study at home. I'd been working. Catherine had been on a coaching call, and she ran downstairs. I heard her come down the stairs, and we had a short conversation, and she just seemed so changed. The way that she spoke to me, I thought was so respectful. I can't remember the specifics of that conversation, but the tone of that conversation was so different. And it was only a 2 or 3 minute conversation, And then she went back upstairs, and I just remember walking back to my study and thinking, this is going to be great. Like, I don't know what's happening here, but I love it.
Len, was she counting on her fingers? Like, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this.
Maybe
No,
she was.
counting.
Maybe
She
she
had
was.
memorized it.
But it was like an almost instantaneous change in that moment. And I think at times it can be hard to be
That's beautiful.
faithful to the skills and to be consistent, to show that fidelity. But in that moment, I could see a future that was very different and very attractive to me.
Love it. So you didn't question it. You didn't say, "Is this for real?"
If it's manipulation, I'd like more of it.
You want
Bring
more.
on
You want more.
manipulation.
Exactly. I love
I'll
it.
just say one more thing, Laura, on this thing. And I am so hypercritical of these type of things. And you have been so humble and gracious, and Julie will share with me whenever you mess up with your husband. You know, they talk about these neuro pathways in your mind. You do them for 30 years and they become like expressways, right? That could be
Yeah.
addiction. That could be whatever. And then you want to change and you have to like cut a path with a machete through a different route. And then you can eventually make that a pathway and a road and then pave it. And then, but that expressway of the way that you were for the first 30 or 40 years of your life is always sitting there begging for you to come down it. Right. So I would just say, I hope the husbands have grace and patience in this regard, because at least there's effort.
Yeah. Yeah. Sounds like all of you were very trusting. There was no suspicion about, like, why is she saying that all of a
There
sudden?
was a ton of suspicion on my part. Like,
Really?
I don't like it, but you are good. You were just truthful. I researched you. I always cite the source in these type of things. And you are the source, the fountain, whatever. And there was nothing that you did that was duplicitous, I felt.
Oh,
Yes.
high praise. Thank you. All right. Here's the next one is about finances. It says, can you talk about what works? Who does what? What's changed since your wife has been working the skills?
I guess I think there's been a big positive change in our household. I think that there was a period before Catherine discovered the skills where she wanted to run the finances and I think really micromanage me and control me by controlling the finances. And, I like spreadsheets, but these spreadsheets were hard to look at. And it sort of, it ignores the reality as well. Like, I think I was a successful bachelor. And, during my bachelor years, I managed to, manage my own budget. And I kind of did that okay. But at some point early in our relationship, Catherine wanted to take over that budget. And it really drove me away. Like it just, one of the quickest ways to kill intimacy was for Catherine to open up these spreadsheets and try to engage with me on these spreadsheets. And so I found myself wanting to disengage and I guess also kind of be that bad project that we talked about earlier. So I think that one of the best things that's happened through the skills is Catherine stepped back a little bit or a lot. And, that's given me the space to be more of an architect of our finances. And I guess there's kind of a couple of levels. There's sort of like a long-term strategy, and there's also the day-to-day. And, I found that, the day-to-day budgeting was really, conversations about it were very destructive to our relationship. I mean, at some level, it didn't matter what was happening day to day. I mean, it does matter, but it didn't matter as long as that long-term strategy was set and we were being faithful to it.
Right. Very good.
Anyway, that's sort of, I'll stop there, but I think that we're in a much better place now, and I think we're now having the sorts of conversations about broader strategy and the micro strategy that Catherine wanted to have, but we've got to that point by her stepping back.
There was a very similar to Lynn's situation where she would run it. Now I'm trained as a CPA or in accounting. I grow businesses. I coach businesses. I'm paid a lot of money to turn businesses around. And so I've got all this experience, but she wanted to run it. I'm like, okay, I won't mess with it too much. It was an issue in the program that she learned. And for her, she like made a decision and dumped it all on me, like in one moment. And then almost like, I you can figure this out a lot better. And I go, well, all right, let's do some handoff or something. So it was, it really wasn't that rough. I just took the gauntlet and ran with it. And, what I've heard her tell people, and it's true, is like my income from the time that she let me run the finances, it went up 10 times, 1,000%. But it was, that thing in the program when Sandy took that, she's like, I am uptight about finances all the time. And why am I doing it? And it's like, and you want to do it, Tim? I said, well, I've been trained in doing things with numbers. And Lynn, I even like spreadsheets,
Yes,
so
me too.
Yeah. So anyway, but it's like it's a handoff, but it's also a co-ownership of it, and to be able to get together and learn to talk about finances without going emotional. And that is a skill that's a really advanced skill, to be able to talk through the finances and still both parties be engaged and supportive and positive towards it. 'Cause that's taken us a lot of work.
That's great.
Well, to me, it's all about control. And, it's a common theme, but, like these two guys that are skilled. I was a financial advisor. I'm a mortgage professional. I see people's finances every day. And oh, by the way, I'm a math major, right? And so what makes sense is that my English literature major wife could run the finances.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I love hearing how it was costly to the intimacy have these
Yes,
financial discussions. And
for
and
sure.
that's what this is all about, right? Restoring intimacy.
Yeah.
And it sounds like all three of you are pretty resounding yes for for relinquishing finances being a good pathway to that. So I love it. I love it. Okay, what do you need most from your wife?
Uh,
Bert, you said two things, and those are the top two.
yeah. So yeah, respect and sex. Sorry, I'll leave it to the rest of the guys here, or the rest. Yeah.
I think warmth as well. And again, I think about the other side of this. Like before Catherine discovered the skills, I remember those, I'll call them angry moments. Like it's hard to want to engage with someone who's not warm and engaging. It's hard to engage with someone who's frustrated, angry, upset, and for reasons that I didn't necessarily understand, or for reasons that I couldn't fix. So I think that
Yeah.
I think just having that having that warmth, uh, and playfulness and willingness to engage. I think
Yeah.
that sort of demeanor, I think, is so appealing.
I like what my daughter is my youngest of four, very above average children, thanks to Sandy. But she's the dentist now. But when she was 7, she saw Mom and I kissing in the kitchen, and she goes, "Mom and Dad, why do you guys?" Or she goes, "Dad, why do you kiss Mom so much?" And I'm like startled. My 7-year-old child is like, "What?" And then she answers the question herself in a level of wisdom that is beyond the age. She goes, "Oh, I know. You not just love Mom, you like her too." And that's what I'm hearing from you, Lynn, is there is a likability that, we just have to watch what we're bringing into the room, what our energy is and our dominant thought and our, what our struggle is. And sometimes it's like I have to think about I'm the world's worst and coming in and I'm still marching and ready to just boss everybody around. And I'm still in the middle of solving issues and, and Sandy's like, "Hi," and it's like, and I've just steamrolled her sometimes with the force of the aura, and so I think it's good just to ask yourself, both men and women, how likable am I right now to my spouse?
Yep. I'm still sticking with my 2 answers.
I love it. I love it. Great answers. So we're
Those
not,
were very eloquent answers, gentlemen.
they
Respect and
were.
sex. I'm going with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And warmth. Yeah. And likability. Yeah. When I ask my husband to do things, he takes a long time and even forgets. So how do I tell him how important it is to listen to me? I have to ask over and over.
You're looking for a 40 or 50-year successful marriage. That's what you're looking for, right? We're living longer. Now we don't have to put up with our spouses for just 25 years anymore. We got to put up with them for like 45 because they live to like 85, right? So how do you do that? Is it worrying about whether they took the trash out? Is that it? Is that really that's what you're gonna hook your claw to?
I think that's really good, Bert. For me, I zone out in the middle of not wanting to zone out at times. And, but with that understanding and just repeating back, I didn't mean to forget about taking the trash out. I didn't mean to forget about, I just got, there's this thing called time blindness, so there, what am I saying? I think there's just a way of, understanding somebody's listening capacities. And if you judge somebody, if you're a really strong listener, but you judge them on your strengths, rather than understanding kind of where they are and how they process life, then that you are setting yourself up for a lot of frustration.
Yeah. So a little understanding. Yeah.
Yeah.
Laura, may I just jump in? I think that, I think the experience is that, nagging doesn't work and nagging is counterproductive and nagging destroys intimacy. So it takes you further from your goal. I think from my perspective, I think I run a lot of routines in my mind, and maybe they're there to simplify my day, but at particular moments in the day, I might be running a particular routine. And then to kind of be hit with requests about a whole pile of things that take me away from that routine is a little bit difficult for me. It's just not helpful. And particularly if some of those things kind of escalate. And, I have an example. We had a beautiful plant And the mistake that perhaps I made was I put the plant between the front door and where the children leave their school bags. And so every day the school bags were dragged past this plant. And over time, it was really the end for the plant. And, I don't know what it was. Was it the school bags? Was it bats and balls? Was it a bug eating the plant? I don't know what it was, but it was the end for this plant. And Catherine, well, I felt nagged about this plant. But eventually, well, to get to the end of the story, there is now a new plant, and it's much more suitable, and it can tolerate people walking past it. But I think my point was, no amount of nagging would get me to do something about that plant. It was really, I had to get through my routine, and then I needed some space in that routine to solve that problem. And with some space, I could solve it. And now there's a beautiful new plant, and no bugs.
Lynn, that is great wisdom. You know what? The plant taught you, not Kathy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great example, right? Of
That's wonderful.
the nagging was never going to work. It was never going to get a new plant. So you guys, this has been great. Really, so many wisdom bombs that you've been giving us. Let's see what we're going to wrap up with here. It says, what are the top 3 disrespectful things you have seen women do that they may not know is disrespectful? Wow, that's a good one.
Well, I might jump in here. This is
Yeah.
Early in our relationship. I mean, I love Catherine, and am attracted to Catherine for lots of reasons. And one reason is I find her physically beautiful. I'm attracted to her, and on our honeymoon, we spent some time in the US, and it was a wonderful time. And we went to New York, that amazing city. And one thing New York is known for is fashion. And Catherine discovered a New York designer that I thought she liked. And when we came back to Australia after this honeymoon, I bought a dress for her to wear from that designer. She wouldn't put the dress on. She just, I would have thought a lot of, some women would want to receive a gift like that. I don't know what was happening, but Catherine was not willing to receive that gift. And I was perplexed. It's sort of, if you want to discourage giving, then don't accept the gifts that are given. And it wasn't until much later in our relationship, when Catherine was practicing the skills, that dress came out of the wardrobe and was worn. I mean, clearly Catherine had her reasons for not wearing it at the time, but it was many years later, I'll say 10 plus years later. I mean, she kept the dress and looked after it, and it came out. And to me, it was just her willingness to accept the gifts that I was giving her was so important to me. And I guess from my perspective, the intimacy in our relationships, I guess that's a top 1, not a top 3. But this, the mistake there, I guess, is an unwillingness to receive or accept.
It's a great story.
And it's a beautiful dress, and she looked amazing in it.
So you were right.
And I think, and her figure didn't change. There were 4 children between buying that dress and her wearing it. It fitted beautifully.
Oh my. That's a great testimony. Yeah. And in terms of those 3, one is, I love what, Lynn said, is just not receiving. And, another thing is, when I'm asked to do something, just, the way I manage, I just, get this done. Do you know how to get this done? Yes. Okay. We'll just do it. However you want to get it done, I just let you get it done. I'll look at the end result. And so I find myself, resisting at times. This is many years ago, decades ago. I want to make it seem like it's not a current issue here. In fact, it is, but, it's like, it's like wanting to, interrupting me from the assignment to say you're doing it wrong, And so when I do something and there's a preferential way that somebody has done that, like say my wife, who's very structured and very organized, and I'm more color outside the lines and get unique ways of solving things. And so when I solve it and then she wants to redo it, it's like, look, don't ask me to waste my life. I'm never get that time back. That's being mean, but it's like, just if it's mission critical to do this, you got to put this much of salt in the ingredient or something. That I get that, if it's an exact process, but if it's preference, understand that your preference can be like, I've got to fight resentment that because it's preference, it really doesn't matter that much. I don't even want to argue about this. I just got it done. So don't question how I got it done. And so that's a form of disrespect that it shows up in the minutia of life that, it's like a stamp book that gets filled someday and just, okay, stop, so I don't know if that's, it wasn't as cute of a story as what Lynn had.
I get it though. Like, don't tell me how to get it done. That's disrespectful. Just let me get it done my way. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like it.
I would say that one of the big ways for me personally is I call it shrapnel, right? Like, or collateral damage. We could be having an argument, and, married couples with lots of decisions have arguments, but does that bleed into other areas? For me, does it affect my kids? Are you now negative towards the kids because you're fighting with me? Are you negative towards, we've all probably been in the situation where we have a thing that we're going to Les Mis at the place, right? And then you get into an argument with your wife and she's like, well, I'm not going to Les Mis, right? Like, which is, I would call shrapnel, right? Like, again, getting up in that helicopter and saying, what is our relationship really? Is it this micro battle that we're dealing with right now? Or can we just say, take a deep breath and go, okay, this is something that we're going to deal with. We're going to step over and let's go enjoy this thing, the grandkids, the kids, the play, the whatever. And I mean, that's kind of like compartmentalizing your life and saying, I know I'm going to be with you forever. So I am going to put this little battle that we're having aside, and I am going to respect our general relationship, right? Which is so hard to do. And it's like, okay, come on, guys. This is a long-term relationship, and this is going to be a memory for whatever it is going to be. And so that really irks you personal. It's disrespectful because to me, you are setting, I don't care about our long-term relationship. I'm going to blow this up because you didn't take out the trash or like whatever it is. Like, have the longevity in mind when you're thinking this. And so I know it's been a theme of this discussion. And, I just want people to get up in the helicopter, climb on the tallest tree and look at where they're going. And does this really matter that much? As much as you think it matters. Does it?
Yeah. So it sounds like let there be some grace. Like grace is a form of respect too. Or yeah,
That's
let's
wonderful.
set this aside so that we can still have our good time with the family. Maybe not lose status in front of other family members too. And don't tell me how to do things. Just tell me what you want the outcome to be. And then of course receiving is another way to be respectful. So these were all three great answers, three great examples. And I just heard so many, like I say, wisdom bombs today, so many things that even opened my eyes. And it's really fun to know that whatever continent you're on, there's this common experience of being a husband where you want respect and sex, and you want your wife to be happy. And, that sure came through today. So I'm so grateful for all three of you coming and answering these hot questions, the previously unseen questions, being so brave to come and do this.
Yeah,
And,
thank you for having us, Flora. That's great. And that it was gutsy on your part because you didn't know what these questions were.
that's what makes it interesting. That's what keeps it riveting, actually, for us women who are trying to get insights about the perspective of the husband who's married to a surrendered wife. And you all just did a great job.
Thank you, Laura. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Laura.
Thank you. Well, there you go. Honest, vulnerable answers straight from the husbands of women practicing the 6 intimacy skills. I mean, what a testament to what's possible when a marriage is strong and full of emotional safety. A huge thank you to Bert, Tim, and Len for spilling the tea, and to their wives, Julie, Sandy, and Catherine, for sharing them with us. Now, I have to ask, was your question answered? Because I have a feeling hearing their answers just gave you 3 more questions. We're absolutely doing this again, and your question could be the one we ask next. If you're already inside the Adored Wife Circle, drop your question in the community right now. I read every single one, and the best questions go straight to the next man panel. And if you're not in the circle yet, what are you waiting for? It's free. It's full of women just like you. And the conversation from today's episode is already happening over there. So come join us at adoredwife.com. Or if you're not an adored wife, go ahead and post your questions below.